I'd like to call this joint meeting of Internal Services and Government Oversight Committees to order, and the first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda.
Romano adopts the agenda.
Zinner support.
Commissioners Romano adopted and Zinner seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Item 4.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 4, public participation. This is the first opportunity for public participation for anybody who wishes to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on items that are on today's agenda. Later, there'll be a second opportunity for public participation for those who wish to speak on any subject. Any members of the public wish to speak on items on today's agenda? Anybody for today's agenda? Okay, we'll close public participation. We'll move on into Internal Services Department recommendations. I'd like a motion to move 5A and B to full board.
So moved by Nard.
Thank you. Commissioner Nard made the motion. Commissioner Farrington seconded to move 5A and B to full board. Jaco?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The first item we have on there is QRadar. As you know, we came to you in December asking to purchase QRadar, and at that time I told you that I will come back to the committee and ask for the purchase of the installation of that equipment. Just because we needed to bid that out. So we did that, and we decided on the bid from CDW-G, which was $39,420. The other bid was over $100,000, and originally, when we purchased the software, we also purchased it from CDW-G. They have implemented the software themselves multiple times, so we feel comfortable with the decision.
Commissioner Matusik?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say thank you for bidding this out. We sometimes don't see a lot of IT contracts actually bid out. And can you go into a little more about why the differences in these two bids were so dramatic?
You know, it's hard to say, Commissioner. We sometimes get those extreme differences. You know, as somebody that doesn't bid myself, I would think, like I said earlier, CDW-G has quite a bit of experience implementing this, and they've done it before. I don't know that the other company has that same experience. You know, so maybe sometimes, you know, you're not 100% sure what you're bidding on, but, you know, the other company is a vendor of ours. It's actually our security vendor. But we just feel that we will be in a much better position by accepting the other one.
Okay, again, thank you for bidding out this contract. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 5C, an agreement with AT&T maintenance agreements for $115,873.22, which the Warren Police Department will reimburse us $60,182.70. I'd like a motion to move to full board.
So moved by Nard.
Support Romano.
Thank you. Commissioner Nard made the motion to move to full board, seconded by Commissioner Romano. Jacob?
Commissioner, this is obviously another one of our maintenance items. This one is specifically for our dispatch backup investment with Warren, the city of Warren. We have a backup center for our dispatch in Warren, and Warren has a backup center at our dispatch in case they need to, do that our way. AT&T is very heavily involved in our dispatch environment, and these two contracts are up for renewal. And as you can see, some of the first contract, the $76,000, about $20,000 of that is reimbursed by them. The rest is on us. And then the second contract, which is $39,400 and some dollars, that one is fully reimbursed by Warren.
Thank you. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you.
Easy today, Jay.
Yes, absolutely.
You can stick around longer if you want.
I'd like to turn the meeting over now to Commissioner Haw, Chair of the Government Oversight Committee.
Mr. Chair, can I have a point of order, please?
Certainly.
Why were there no minutes for the Internal Services Committee?
Internal Services had a joint meeting with another committee, and the meeting minutes were issued there.
Thank you.
What's ringing?
My phone. I tried putting it under the counter, and it didn't do that.
Silent mode. Thank you, Commissioner Van Sickle, for that, and ringing the bell to let me know it's my turn. First item on Government Oversight Committee meeting of February 8th is approval of the minutes dated
Approves the
January
minutes.
12th,
Support Van Sickle.
2022. I have a motion by Romano,
Support by Nard.
support by Nard. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. And I do want to thank Commissioner Van Sickle for having his meeting go so fast. I'm hoping to repeat that.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, good luck. Okay. Next item is item 8, appointments. Executive appointment with board concurrence, 1 vacancy, 2-year term to expire on 4/30/2023. Jill Riley attending. Jill, would you like to speak? And thank you for being here. What I'm attempting to do on all the appointments is get somebody to come in and explain the role and what would they be doing in the future. So, floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Commissioners. I appreciate it. And thank you for considering my nomination. Just a little bit of background on me. My name is Jill Riley, and I am a lifelong resident of Washington Township. Thank you very much.
A little partiality
That's
there,
right.
but okay.
That's right. I currently work at KUKA Systems, which is an engineering automated systems company in Sterling Heights, and that's my second career after teaching for 25 years in Utica. So I retired in 2019, right before the pandemic, so I didn't know it was coming, but it was good timing on my part. I also serve on the Romeo Community Schools Board of Education, and I have been there since 2016. And hence my interest in this position. I have 3 kids. 2 are at Oakland University and Macomb Community College, and 1 is at Romeo High School still. She's a junior. So keep me busy. But I'm interested in this appointment just to help oversee the work that's being done by the Art Authority, the work that's being done by the Detroit Institute of Arts, make sure that Macomb County is getting everything that we can out of the partnership, and that everybody in the county is having access to the resources that are provided to us. it's one thing, as a teacher that I was experienced in and got to experience a little bit, but something that I'd like to continue to work on is making sure that everybody has access and knowledge of all the great resources that we have at the DIA. Anything
Thank you.
else? Any questions for me?
Seeing no speakers, thank you for your volunteering for this position.
Thank you.
I don't have any speaker. The chairman wants to speak?
Yes.
Jill, can you come up to the podium?
Hi.
One of the concerns that's been voiced in the community generally is that transparency on the board, making sure that public has access to all the records. There were some executive session meetings going on about what was going on with the management of the meetings down there. And so just one of the things I wanted to think of that I've been paying attention to is the transparency of the board of directors meetings down there, and that the public has full access to what's going on, and tuning the budget as well. So I know you're right. You hold one of the most hottest positions in all of government, that being on a school board, much less being the president of the school board. So you understand well the demands of public trying to get information, but the same is true of this body as well. And I mean, they do receive a lot of taxpayer money, and I mean, there's probably no bigger friend of the DIA than me on the board, but we also want to make sure that to withstand the criticism that can come sometimes when millages come or so forth, that they could be criticized for not being transparent enough. So keep an eye on that if you would, please.
Absolutely.
As you go forward. And I'm glad you've submitted your nomination to the board. You're going to have my support, of course.
Thank you.
But just something to keep in mind, because people are watching that very carefully, and we want to make sure that we do all we can to avoid the criticism. All right?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I appreciate the input.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Chairman. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next item is presentation and discussion on Zoological Authority update. Mr. Jim Sawyer, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to come here, Jim. So
Thank you, Vice Chair Howe, and good afternoon, Commissioners. Thanks for having me here this afternoon. Vice Chair Howe invited me to represent the Macomb County Zoological Authority. I've served on that since 2018. I currently serve as the chair. His request of me was to describe what that body does, and really, it's a fiduciary body. We oversee the collection and submittal of the millages that's collected through Macomb County to the Zoo Authority. We typically meet a couple times a year, oversee the audit that's part of that process as well. It's relatively simple. Happy to answer any questions folks may have.
Thank you. Commissioner Matuzak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for coming.
Sure.
I have lots of questions. We just heard from a representative from the DIA about all the various things we get in Macomb County from the DIA. Field trips, trips for seniors, admission. What do we get from the zoo for our millage?
Commissioner, I'll answer the question as best I can, but I want to be clear, I'm not a spokesperson for the zoo. I sit on the board, but I'm on a board of 60 people. So, there's admission that's granted to residents of Macomb County. I know there's some outreach to some different K-12 districts within the county as well. I just know that from my participation on the board and serving on the Education Committee.
One of the things that was promised to Macomb County in the last millage election was more outreach into the county. As one of our representatives on this board, I would hope that you will pursue that. In specific, one of the things that was talked about heavily was the establishment of a nature center in Macomb County. There was discussion about buying a piece of property near Lake St. Clair. There was an offer by the city of Mount Clemens and Clinton Township to offer free land for this nature center to be built on. Now I understand there are some talks about putting this nature center at Macomb Community College. It's been a long time since we passed this millage. I understand COVID was in there, but that was one of the things that was promised to us, and our people voted for this millage. And I have to say, I see very little evidence that residents in Macomb County are getting anything for their vote. And in particular, the specific thing that was talked about, this nature center, seems to be happening nowhere. Just as an aside, I don't know why it would be at Macomb Community College when two communities on the river are offering free space to the zoo to build it. So that is my concern. Please take it back to whomever. Mr. Chair, I would very much like to hear from somebody actually representing the zoo on these issues, because this is really important to our community. If that nature center was built in the Mount Clemens, Clinton Township area right here, we would be serving an economically disadvantaged community, people who are not likely, children who are not likely to be going to the zoo, unless we no longer have school field trips, so they're not even going with school field trips, in an economically disadvantaged county. We as a county entity don't pay property taxes to the city of Mount Clemens. If we could push that this nature center is actually located in this area, that would go a long way to helping this community. So I'm quite concerned about this. I don't see a good use of taxpayer money, and I don't see much return for our vote. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
If I could just, what I do, just so I can share what I do know based on the last board meeting, which was the last week of January. The Great Lakes Nature Center is still something that's on the docket as one of the capital projects. Again, I don't serve on that particular subcommittee, so the zoo did transition to a new CEO on November 1st. So all I can share, Commissioner, that I'm aware of is that it is still an ongoing entity. As far as the planning process, I really can't enlighten you anymore on that.
Thank you. I will attempt to bring somebody in from the zoo to address all of those issues. Jim's here to say he doesn't own them, but he's a voice into the process. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Okay, I mean, that might have sort of answered my question, because I thought this was going to be that update, and I was surprised that you aren't in a position to answer any of the questions that might surface, especially given it goes through us to put millages on the ballot for the residents to decide on. And if we ask the DIA to come up here, we've got the director of the DIA in front of us almost immediately. So you might want to share that information as well.
Be happy to, Commissioner.
Okay. All right. And I think you gave, well, you didn't really give an update because you don't belong to that committee. You said it's still on the docket, but I think somebody who works for the organization would be attending committee meetings and might have more knowledge on that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me explain the purpose of why Jim's here. When we had the appointments to the Zoological Authority, the questions were raised. So I went to Jim and other members of the commission and said, these questions are raised. Can you come and give us the answer? And he went, no, that's not our role. At that point, I still had Jim on the agenda, so that's why I had him come. We will attempt to get somebody, those are all legitimate issues, to come from the zoo and explain, or at least give us an explanation of those.
And you know, I'll be happy to certainly pass that along as well as you know, as part
Thank you.
of
If you can
my
find
role
a
on the board.
volunteer from the zoo to do that, let me know, Jim.
Will do.
Commissioner Wallace.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I took my name off because I pretty much was going to say exactly what Commissioner Matuzek said.
That's fine, thank you. Chairman Brown.
Thank you. Jim, we're the peace-loving Board of Commissioners. We're not going to kill the messenger.
Okay, I appreciate
However,
that.
we do want to take these messages back to them. Because, you know, the prior director, I think he was on his way out when I came on board. And I heard about, and I had known about this quest for property. I said, why don't you clue me in? I'm the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, and I have know nothing about it. Seemed like I might be a good person to reach out to because I might have some contacts to know about property and interaction with all my commissioners. Might be a way for us to help you market and look for property, right? Because we're involved in every government across the county. And so, but that didn't get addressed. So you might want to tell them the natives are a little restless out here and along Lake St. Clair, and they could send someone out prepared to address this and maybe do it ahead of time before they come out to the meeting to give, send us a briefing or something so that we know what's going on. But we want to help. And you're the good person. You're probably the best person to have we could have on the county down on that board for us because you know well how to account for the millages and the responsibility that comes with it, as you do so good well with the college. So I'm glad you're here today, and I'm glad you're on that board. We got the good man on the board down there for us. But the management needs to get focused on what they're doing, that they represent the whole region, and pay attention to Macomb County because they haven't to date. And so I'm glad you're there. And so go in peace and send them a word back. Thank you.
Chair Brown, I will be sure to pass this message along.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
All right, thank you.
I know this wasn't a presentation, but I would still like to get a motion to receive and file the correspondence so we have Commissioner Matuzak's conversation on record.
Commissioner, motion to receive and file.
Support
you.
by Nard.
A motion by Commissioner Van Sickle, supported by Commissioner Nard. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next item is department recommendations, contract, Hunch Free Marketing Services, $3,500 per month. I need a motion to refer that to full board.
So moved by Nard.
I have a motion by Nard, supported by Farrington. Chair Brown, would you like to speak to this, or would we like to hear from the gentlemen that are standing at the microphone?
Well, thank you. I'll just tee it up for them. This has been first period has been a trial contract with them, and we've worked collaboratively with them to try to build out things that we need for our needs as a board for communication. And I'm very pleased. They've had a lot of work to do to bring us up to a decent level for us to get going. We're only getting started, and we've developed a good start, and I think they're worthy of extending their contract for another year to continue a job that's already well started. And with that, I'll let them take over. And so, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I can say I do review the page on Instagram, and if any of the commissioners haven't had an opportunity to do that, I would recommend so, especially your pictures page. There are some excellent pictures on there, and yours is the one of them that stands out the most in that bright red dress. So I want to congratulate you guys in doing that. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Commissioners. We're really pleased from Hunch Free. I'm Matt Pitters. I'm the Executive Vice President and Managing Director at Hunch Free, joined by Jimmy Guizdala, the owner of Hunch Free and founder. And it's been a fun 6 months that we've been working, with each of you to establish your social media presence, to do, outreach to the press, to do some of your email marketing campaigns. And we're looking forward to the next year of doing that, working together to capture, your community engagement, and to do so using social media, and also to embed ourselves as part of your team, actually covering some of your events, snapping pictures like you've mentioned, and then using your own policies to govern how we post those things in social media. So some of the things that we've done is take pictures. You can see kind of some of the highlights of some of those pictures from your events over the past 6 months. We've picked some of our favorites. We've got the holiday parade and some of the other things that, important initiatives that you're doing in the community that we've covered and taken pictures, and then also use those pictures in social media. Here's a snapshot of, some of the events that we covered. Over on the left-hand side is, some of the events that we were at in 2021. 2022, we're already building out a list that's a little bit bigger than this, working with Crystal and Don and each of you on, what those events are and what type of coverage that we're looking to do with each of those. Looking at what's the effect of this, right? What have we seen as a result of this? We grabbed some stats for you. At the end of last year, we've already seen an increase in followers in some of these numbers since the end of last year, but we're seeing a boost in engagement across the board through the work that we've done together. So you've got over 250 new followers on your Facebook page, over a 200% increase in profile visits on Twitter, and it's kind of the same thing on Instagram. So by making sure that we have a consistent posting strategy, we're having consistent look and feel. We're seeing that engagement in each of those things, in each of those channels in social media start to increase. We've also, this is a snapshot of what we've done to kind of standardize the look and feel of your graphics. So whether that's, helping the community understand, who their commissioner is, whether that's, helping them to know when a full board meeting is, and then just in general, other announcements that you have that you wanted to share on social media. What we've done is try to make those have a unified look and increase the brand presence that you have as a board, as a group together. We also took headshots. And I remember being in the building. I wasn't the actual photographer, but I'll wager to say I haven't heard that much laughter at a photo shoot for headshots in the past. But we think it's important, to also have, kind of a consistent look across each commissioner. It speaks to that, standardization of brand, helping to communicate quality and excellence, starting from pictures, going to the copy that we post, and having standardized look and feel of headshots was one of those things. We've extended that also into email campaigns. So we do a couple different things from email perspective. We have newsletters that go out on a monthly basis that uses your existing database. We actually send it through your system, and then we have updates in terms of when there's open positions, when there's media advisories that need to go to the press. We have mailing lists that are approved by your board chair, and we work with Crystal on planning those, getting them on a schedule, and then making sure that we're sending them out in a timely fashion. We also have a media contact on our staff for when we're amplifying media placements, and when we're doing things, we're sending things to the media. We have a phone number and an email address. I know that right now you guys are in the process of getting one set up through the county, so that we'll just get notified once you've collected that information. We'll actually be forwarded that, and then we'll act as the coordinator to get an interview with the press set up or something like that. We don't actually speak for you with the press, but we do make it easier by coordinating any press inquiries that come in through that. We also take the positive news that's been posted, whether that be the Free Press, Macomb Daily, MLive, all the different news outlets. We take those positive stories and then we repost them through your existing social media. We also went through and took an audit of your existing web presence and then built you a microsite specifically for the board. So that's bocmacomb.org. It's up and live. One of the things we're most proud of there is how easy it is to find your commissioner. So we have an interactive map right there on the home page. When you get there, it's very easy to click. You look and see where your street is. You can see which district you're in, and you can click and find your commissioner. Each of you has your own page with some information about you. And then we have other content that we work with the board to make sure that we're highlighting lots of links back to other county websites and other pieces of content that live within the county. But we have a good microsite to make it easier to find that, so that people in the community can find the information they're looking for and they can do so in an easy way. I've already kind of covered some of this. I'll leave it open to any questions you have and any comments.
Thank you. We have quite a few questions. Commissioner Matuzak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This isn't actually directed at you. Your work is fine. I like it. I've rewritten a couple of things, but I have no problem with the quality of the work. My question is more, this contract wasn't bid out. It's a lot of money. I know the first one we said was a 6-month trial. I understand it's a professional services contract and we don't have to bid those out, but I find it very difficult to go after the other department heads who divide up contracts, who slice and dice them in a way that doesn't meet the limit, and we didn't bid this contract. I'm just going to put that out there, and I think it's a problem. I'm going to vote for this contract, but I'm really disappointed we did not bid this. There are many firms that should have had a chance to look at this, and that was 6 months ago, and we didn't do it then, and we're obviously not doing it now. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How much are you able to get any of our information to the papers, to the C&Gs, to the Macomb Daily? Are you able to do that at all?
We do. We actually do it on a regular basis when you have an announcement that needs to go to the press. We have an existing mailing list of press contacts that the county had, or the Board of Commissioners had, that we send press announcements to. So we actually send them directly to the reporters that would cover you.
And then they decide if they're going to put it in from that point?
They do, yeah.
Yeah. How much success on that? Do you know how much success you get on that, or commissioners would be checking that for sure?
I'd have to come back to tell you exactly how many things that we sent directly that were picked up in the news. I know that you have had a good success amount of coverage in the news, but I'd have to look to see how many we sent directly to how many were picked up.
Have you noticed if it's certain areas that pick the stuff up versus other areas, and maybe you haven't seen that at all?
Again, I'd have to double check just the specific list of things that we actually sent versus the specific. Are you looking for specific publications or specific areas in terms of districts that get coverage?
Well, I was just curious if certain areas are looking to pick it up, where other areas are not looking to pick it up, and how much you did send out. So, if they had their own reporters there, or did you, or were you sending things to them? Just both areas. But you may not have been looking for that, so that, if you're sending it, then you're sending it.
Yeah, so it happens both ways. We cover events that will have, reporters at that event, covering that event. But more specifically, we actually send, when you have a press release that needs to go out, we do send it to that reporter list directly.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Matuzak.
Thank you, Chair. Just a clarification, that photo with the red dress was actually on NACO. It's not on our social media. So they probably don't even know what you're talking about. I have several questions. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for answering my questions prior to the presentation. I did send a long laundry list of things, and appreciate you guys taking the time to answer my questions. With that said, I do have more additional questions, and I want to say thank you so much for the good job that you guys have been doing the past 6 months, but I think that you could do better. I want to see you do a great job, not a good job, because it is a lot of money. I'm also going to kind of echo Commissioner Matuzak that it has nothing to do with you guys, but the process of how we go about approving contracts. I think it would make sense for us to bid this out, and I think that Hunch Free would do a great job at submitting their bid proposal. But I don't think it's fair for the other firms that are out there, because we don't know how we can compare Hunch Free to the other agencies, or maybe they might do a better job. So I'm very hesitant to forward this to full board because of that, but hopefully you guys could still answer some of my questions. So regarding the presentation that you shared about us providing a list of our emails to you guys to add to this newsletter, I believe that this violates the Can-Spam Act, which you are not allowed to add people to a mailing list, a business list without their permission, and you have to give them an option to unsubscribe. So I'm a little concerned about that. Regarding page 3.
On the first point, what we were offering was the ability to send them an initial email to subscribe would have been the first step. I know that was on your list of questions earlier, and I don't think we answered the question totally completely. I agree that people should, one, have the ability to subscribe to a list, two, have the ability to unsubscribe to a list. Every single email that we send on your behalf does have an unsubscribe button on it so that they can be removed from the list and they wouldn't receive a communication moving forward. What we're looking for is people that you already have in your capacity as a commissioner have an ongoing communication with. That could be somebody that we could send an email for on your behalf to get them to subscribe into the global list that we're sending on behalf of the board. So completely understand your concern, and we would echo that concern and want to follow the process to keep you compliant.
Okay, we can agree to disagree. Page 3 in the presentation, let me just go back to it. In the contract, I'm sorry, page 3, which would be page 5 in the PDF. There is no article here. So you have Article 1, 2, and 3 under the terms of agreement for services. I'm a little hesitant to approve this contract because there is nothing here that states that if the BOC is unhappy with the quality of work, that they would be able to terminate the contract at any time. It doesn't say that here. It just says that there will be a cancellation fee paid by the client. And so for me, this contract means that we're binded for 12 months with Hunch, and it's not an at-will type of contract where you can, fire us or we can fire you, right? And so I didn't see anywhere here that included that article or that type of statement. So again, I just want to point that out for the other commissioners, is that we don't have anything in here that would allow us to avoid this contract at any point for the next 12 months. Regarding the media contact, the Gmail account, I think that any inquiries that come to the board has to go through an official government account. It can't be a personal Gmail account because there's no accountability, there's no checks and balances. We don't know if anyone actually even checks the inbox. And so I'm hesitant in that process when it comes to media contacting us or even anyone from the public. And then regarding the social media posts, I'm seeing that there are a lot of posts like on Facebook that are being that are reshared content, so it's not original content. I think that you guys could probably do more original content as opposed to sharing from the clerk's office or the treasurer's office, because there are a lot of posts on our social media that are just resharing of a post. So I'd like to see more original content. And then I just want to bring up the fact that I'd never seen you guys here for any of our meetings that we do have. So I don't know if you review the recordings or do you really actually know what's going on. I'd really like to see you guys here more often, maybe even if it's just during the full board meetings. We see, the Macomb Daily Guy all the time, but as our media PR firm, I think it would be beneficial for you guys to send a representative to be here while we're having meetings so that you don't miss anything that might be, relevant for you to share. So that's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. Because there's some ambiguity in the contract, I just wanted to get some things on the record as to what your position is and what our position is, so in case there's any questions. So with regard to Article 3, the term, it doesn't specify it. It specifies for such time as to complete the job, basically. But you do have the accompanying document. So it is your position that it's a one-year contract, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was clear. And then there is a cancellation fee in Article 3. There isn't any fee listed on the accompanying document. What would that cancellation fee be? Because we may want to add that to the contract.
I'll have to look at that.
Or you know what, we don't have to, what you could do is forward all of that to be incorporated before full board. We don't have to look up everything right now.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's kind of important to put the fees in here because we're approving a contract that has fees and costs, and we don't have those in front of us. So both Article 4 and 5 refer to increases that may apply, and they refer to the accompanying document, and the accompanying document doesn't refer to any of those fees. There's even a reference here. The client will reimburse Hunch free for all the out-of-pocket expenses. These expenses are listed in the accompanying proposal and will be billed at a cost plus any surcharge indicated. Neither the fees or the surcharge are listed in the accompanying document.
We would never purchase anything on behalf without asking you up front. So we wouldn't know what these fees would be because they don't exist today. If something came up that we had to purchase, we would ask for approval.
So I thought there was a reference in here to...
This is a very boilerplate contract. It's not going to specify everything that we would do. If it was a technology fee that we wanted to acquire, we wouldn't buy it without asking. If we did have to purchase something, then we would ask for approval. We wouldn't just buy it and then bill you. We're very open to if you guys have concerns about contract language. You can redline things. You can have your attorney look at them. This is made to be very general, especially at this dollar amount. We typically don't go through and have our attorney customize this for a contract of this size, typically. But we could do that if needed, but we would need to know what you guys want redlined.
I think if it were general, then it wouldn't keep making reference to fees in the accompanying document if there are no fees in the accompanying document. That was my concern. That's why I wanted a record of what your position is versus our position. Because there's also a reference in here, and I can't tell you exactly which article at the specific moment, about covering the hourly costs of employees or something that is in the accompanying document, and none of that is in the accompanying document. So we might want to figure out how to clean that up before full board. I'm not going to vote against moving it to full board. I don't know how we're going to fix that, but I want to give the opportunity. So also with respect to the severance that she indicated, this says, Article 12 says, again, any adjustments to the terms specified above may result in a change to the quoted price. And then there's a section that indicates that, I believe it's 4 that, or 3 that indicates a cancellation fee will be paid by the client, and something to the effect that we would pay out the contract. And so this part I did want on the record. Is your position we would pay out that month? Or if there was a cancellation on our part for any reason, would you expect us to pay out the entire year of $3,600 a month?
Typically, you don't have the contract. We have a cure clause, so the reality is there should be no cancellation that would occur without us to rectify any issues that are available. So that's why there's a cure clause in the contract. So if you guys see any issues with our service, our level of service, you have the right to address those. If we can't rectify that, then you can essentially terminate the contract. But we have the right to fix any issues. These are the same terms we had in the first contract. We didn't make any adjustments. And And a lot of the language you see in there. are
Yes,
things like hourly rates.
your cure section says we need to give you an opportunity to cure. It does not then say we have the authority to terminate the contract. So I just was hoping to get for the record if your position is we would pay you out that month or we would pay the entire year's contract. I think it is important to get that on record. So which one of those is your position?
So there's a term for a reason. So obviously we're anticipating having a term contract, so we staff accordingly for that. So we try to have you on the contract. If there's an issue with the service, we have a chance to rectify it.
Right, I'm not debating that.
I'm not an attorney, but-
I'm not debating that. Your position is that we would pay out the entire year. We just need to get this for the record. We don't need to talk about, we expect you to cure it and we're going to do this. Let's just make an assumption everything went wrong and we cancel the contract because we need this for the record.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's going to happen.
If you had an issue with the service
Your
level,
position is we would pay out the entire year's contract.
whatever's left on the term.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then two more things. The first is with regard to the press inquiries. Usually, if the press calls, they're usually going to call our offices, and it's usually a developing story, particularly if it's television news. And the reporter is making a call to get a hold of somebody almost immediately. And what would used to happen, I'd get a phone call saying, Channel 4 wants to talk to you. Here's the reporter's phone number. So are you saying if they call our offices will send them to you and then you'll send them to us? Is that what you're
No,
indicating?
what we do is we've offered a phone number for the media. So when we release a press release, we send that email. We have a contact email and phone number on those communications that go out so that they know who to call.
So if they call you.
It's possible that they could call you directly if they know you. It's possible that they could call your office.
It's very
directly.
likely
Yeah.
that they would call our offices. So if in the event that they do that, just for our staff isn't required to forward it to you. They can just give us a heads up that Channel 4 is trying to get a hold of us.
Correct.
Okay. And then the last thing is the photography. What I would like to do, whether it's through you guys or not through you guys, is actually have professional photographers next year. We've always had professional photographers. And how you know the difference as a woman is a professional photographer will go up and straighten up the loose strands on your hair and, they do all these things, and they were delightful, the individuals that you sent, but they just sort of stared at us and said, ready. And then when we took the group photograph, there was no direction. We were all shuffling around and arguing with each other over who was going to sit where and who's sitting in what seat. And they just sort of stood back and watched, whereas a professional photographer would look at our heights and how we fit into the picture and say, you need to move over here. And you could tell that we did not get. We got a professional photo, but we didn't get a photographer. And I wouldn't mind if we chose one separately and they worked with you to give you the material to promote. I wouldn't have any problem with that.
Are you talking about for each of the events we cover, or are you
No,
talking?
no,
Okay.
I'm not expecting that.
Okay.
No. I'm just talking about the once every 2 years picture of the board and the headshots. We've always had headshots. They may not have been out there like you guys put them out there, but we did always have a photography studio actually come in, and they'd mess with our hair and make sure our glasses were straight and all of that.
That would go back to your comment about additional fees. If you wanted hair and makeup, we could bring hair and makeup in and show you.
No.
No, I mean, that's the kind of example of where that would come in. But I agree with you. We didn't. I don't think we knew that was needed. We thought that.
It may be the first time that we've ever had a board photo not taken by a photography studio. So you don't necessarily have to apply that. We could come up with the studio and they could work with you. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Seeing you guys got a lot to absorb, I think Crystal and Don have a lot to absorb before our full board meeting. So we have a motion and support to refer to full board. Seeing no other speakers, please vote. You guys thought this was going to be easy, huh?
We did go easy on it.
That's subjective.
I need a professional.
Motion passes 12 to 1. Commissioner Song voting no.
I do need makeup, I take that back, but that's a separate issue.
Okay, so we referred it to full board. We'll move on from there.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2022-7787, resolution opposing Senate Bills 597, 598, amending the Social Welfare Act and Mental Health Code. I need a motion to refer to full board.
Matusek moves.
Support by Kleinfeld.
I have a motion by Commissioner Matuzak, supported by Commissioner Kleinfeld. Commissioner Wallace, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I will not go through this entire resolution. I think we've had plenty of time to look at it, but overall, it's just saying that I'm coming to you all just for support in opposing this Senate Bill 597 and 598. We, as a board, we speak for a lot of people that do not have the opportunity to speak for themselves. And on the Macomb County Community Mental Health Board, we do the same for a specific group of people. So for this bill, it's pretty much changing everything that we have grown to support this group of people that are disabled intellectually or developmentally, that are fighting drug abuse and just struggling in so many areas. So we are able to help them. We are able to help their families. We are able to, like we saw yesterday with the grant, that program is helping individuals that are fighting opioids and different drugs get off the streets and stay out of jails. We are able to help not only them, but a larger group. So when a bill comes that kind of will absolutely changes all of that and takes away the support for a lot of Michiganders that we speak for, it's something that I find important that we stand against. We need to be able to have effective measurements of what's helping this group of people, and with this bill, we are unable to do that. And there's just a lot more, and like I said, I won't bore you with reading it all, but I am asking that you stand with me in opposing this bill.
Thank you. Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Wallace, for bringing this resolution up. I just wanted to mention real quick, as the CMH chair, that the CMH board was unanimous in agreeing with opposing these bills. And if anybody has any technical questions, our resident expert hiding in the back, Dave Pankatire, CMH CEO, is sitting back there and can help as well. I'm in full support of this. It takes away a lot of local control, specifically Board of Commissioners control. And I know as a Republican, local control is kind of a big deal. But to me, sitting on this board and that board, just us being local and having that voice that close to home makes a huge difference. And sending it off to Lansing to a bunch of bureaucrats just doesn't do it for me. So I support Commissioner Wallace's resolution, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
I really appreciate hearing that. Phil and I have talked on this resolution quite lengthy, and as a Democrat, I support local control as well. Commissioner Romano.
Commissioner Kraft just answered all my questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. Commissioner Farrington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I pre-warned the commissioner that I was going to say these things, so in no way is this disrespect to her, who I have the utmost respect for, or even on the legislation that's in front of us, or the resolution that's in front of us. What I'm going to speak on is I wish going forward, and this is my own perspective, that we do not have resolutions on legislation at the federal or the state level. As one of two people here who has served at the state level, we know that you go through hours and hours and hours of testimony from various groups. You have caucus debates. You learn subjects inside and out. And at the end of the day, most of the resolutions that come from a local level, whether it be county boards, city councils, GOP or Democratic caucuses, are basically ignored anyways. All it does is provide a split to this organization on things that we truly are not in full comprehension of all the details of. It may or may not be a good bill. And quite honestly, I didn't even read it because I knew I was going to vote no on it. I'm voting no on it for the purpose of why I'm voting no, not for the bill or the sponsor itself. So going forward, again, I ask that we don't do this. People all have their own passions. This is a board that works very well together. While I don't think this group of individuals would do it, I have seen it where people will put votes up either to garner favor in their community or to split favor in someone else's community purely for political reasons. There are many reasons not to have resolutions at this board level. I can think of very few that actually work to have resolutions on state or federal legislation. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrington, and I support your comments adamantly, being the other that have served at the state level. Commissioner Kraft and I had that very same conversation that was extremely lengthy. It is at the discretion of the chair to add proclamations and resolutions or not, and they can come back to the board for a 2/3 vote, I think is what our rules state. So I support, and I know Commissioner Kleinfeld wants to speak. You're advocating her position for as long as I've sat here as well. I'm not speaking for you, I'm just indicating this is something I think the chairmen of the committee and the chairman need to look at very seriously moving forward. So with that, Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Chair. The last whereas of the resolution lists a number of items that the resolution purports to support. And in talking with several people, Commissioner Kraft wrote a good response defining many of these things. I would feel much more comfortable with this resolution if some of those definitions or all those definitions were attached as an appendix or something, so that anybody receiving this resolution was very clear on what we were suggesting and what the resolution suggests we support, and that there's no misunderstanding of terms, if you will. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Without objection to the author, would you have any objection to doing that? Who was the second? Phil wrote the definitions anyway, so he doesn't object. Yes, okay. Thank you for that, Commissioner Van Sickle. But Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you. Chair Hall was close. I agreed with 50% of what you said, but not the other 50%, which is why I'm speaking. I agree 100% that we do proclamations and resolutions that are meant to do nothing but state a political position on an issue. Where I have always maintained since I got on the board that we should do these things is when either the state or federal government is doing things that directly affect counties, affect what we do, our control, or our pocketbook. I'm glad to hear the Republicans are for local control. If you could tell them in Lansing that every bill doesn't have to start with an act to prohibit local units of government, because it's pretty pervasive up there. But when that does happen, and even at the national level, NACO will put out to all the counties to flood the senators, flood the representatives, to have, if one county sends something, maybe not, but if several counties do, sometimes it gets some folks' attention. You're probably right, 90% of the time it doesn't. I have seen it work in Washington, but when it comes to acts that mess with our control or our finances, I do think that is where we have a right to speak up. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12 to 1. Commissioner Farrington voting no.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, a proclamation commemorating the New Haven Community Schools on the occasion of their 100th anniversary. Motion to refer to full board.
Support Van Sickle.
Motion by Kraft, supported by Commissioner Van Sickle. Phil, would you like to speak to this? First of all, is this proclamation currently in the civic clerk system?
It should be.
Okay.
I've been working with Mary on it. I see it. There's an attachment.
Hey, I just want everybody to know it's there. Okay. Floor is yours, Commissioner.
Because you want a
Kraft.
short committee, I'll reserve my comments for full board. Thank you.
I better see if there's any. Seeing no other speakers, we have a motion and support. Please vote.
Motion passes 13 to 0.
Thank you. Next item is ratification summary Fraternal Order of Police Council FOPLC Union Collective Bargaining Agreement January 1, 2022 to December 31st, 2024. Motion to receive and file.
Support by Nard.
I have a motion by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Nard. I would like to thank our HR director who snuck up to the microphone there. The reason that this is on our agenda is the last time we had a contract, board members had indicated they had not had full opportunity to review it and go through it. So this is why we have this one on here now. So Andrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioner Ha. I appreciate that very much. If I may divert real quickly, we do anniversary certificates from Human Resources and Labor Relations, the Office of the County Executive. Mr. Phil Kraft and Mr. Joe Romano have both served 5 years on the Board of Commission as of January 1st, I believe, of this year. So congratulations to the two of you. I would like to approach after I'm done presenting and present each of you the 5-year award. We just started this a couple years ago. We looked to do one for Mr. Brown, but there were so many zeros on the end of the certificate. So we've got, I know that we do have board members who have served longer than 5 years, but they just haven't hit that next 5-year anniversary date yet. So we implemented it. We didn't go back and look at everybody who had served longer than 5 years. So as you hit your next anniversary, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Kleinfeld, possibly Commissioner Sabatini as you, because I believe you are second, this is your second go-around with us? Well, you know, second, fourth. I'm HR, not finance, you know, so.
You do see those big checks, get their long checks. You might want to use some of that cardboard.
Yes, we will get one of those for you, Commissioner. I appreciate that very much.
That's for Joe, is that what you're saying?
But congratulations to the two of you for 5 years. The FOP contract, as Commissioner Haas said, is before you. Many times with our police officer groups, they do have the ability to have retroactive pay when they negotiate. We like to get these to you as quickly as possible. We could have brought it in March, but then we have to.
I'm not talking to you. Go ahead.
But then we have to. We're going to have to do a whole lot more administratively in order to get that retroactivity process. So we brought this to you. Thank you to Commissioner Ha for bringing it as a receipt and file. And I would entertain any questions that you have whatsoever.
We have no speakers, Andrew, so you got off easy and you can present your
Mr. Chair.
Joe Sabatini jumped in.
I thought Andrew was going to speak a lot longer, so. Sandra, in regards to this contract, so my community, Macomb Township, contracts with Macomb, the Sheriff's Department. So I know previously I didn't ask this question, that's why I wanted to ask it specifically today. How do the contracts that are subcontracted to third parties, and I know there's obviously other commissioners that have the same scenario, are these fees implemented right into those contracts, and are those contracts increased based on these votes?
Commissioner Sabatini, if I may ask for you to ask the same question at full board of Mr. Smeagol. We had a conversation as to whether or not he needed to be here today. I told him that if we had questions that were more directed towards him, I would ask that those come to that full board.
Fair enough.
With all due respect,
Yep,
I'm not. Okay.
I
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. It'd be a good idea to give Steve a heads up because that question has popped up on a few occasions.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Seeing none?
Chair, point of order. Mr. Song, this is a receive and file, so I believe this won't be on full board, right?
Go ahead.
If I may, I'm going to ask for a bypass. I think I'll work with Crystal on that to try to get it to full board. You have expectations of us, and I want to live up to those expectations, but there was really no ability for us to get it to you in the appropriate committee prior to full board. So I will ask for a bypass.
Thank you, Chair.
So with that, we are going to receive and file it.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Ha.
We have a motion and a support. Please vote. We will take a few minutes to have Mr. Kraft, and I believe it was Commissioner Romano.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. On his birthday? Oh, wait, they want to get a picture. That's what we're paying them for.
Why don't we get up front?
Yeah, get, or go stand under the sign. Yeah, do something.
Yeah, you look sharp.
Who brought the anniversary cake?
Anniversary and a birthday.
Where's the Italian Tribune for me, please?
No.
It's downstairs. No, not Italian. No, I don't. I use Italian pretty good.
This means we've been here
That's
too long.
on this side, we can do this.
You want to do it together?
There you go. How's that?
Oh, my.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm retired.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. We'll wait for Joe to mingle back to his seat. He's moving a little slow over there. Okay, next item on the agenda is BOC memo appointments to the Tri-County Summit Steering Committee. We have a motion to receive and file.
So moved by Nard.
Motion by Nard, supported by Sabatini. I would like to personally thank Commissioner Van Sickle, Commissioner Song, Commissioner Matuzak, and Commissioner Zinner for volunteering. Let me see if I have any speakers. Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public participation. This is our second of two public participations. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Going once? Yeah, you don't count. Twice? Public participation's closed. Next item is commissioners' comments. I will begin by saying, you read the article in the paper about the Bluecoats not having the appropriate masks. They now have the appropriate masks. Doesn't guarantee they're going to wear them. It just guarantees they have them. Seeing, I don't have any other speakers. I do. How come I don't see you? Okay, Commissioner Kleinfeld.
It's showing up under closed session. I just wanted to say, I saw the Macomb Daily article regarding our vote yesterday. it seemed to have a slant that it was partisan decisions, and I just didn't see that from this board. I didn't see any partisanship in the discussion at all yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other commissioner comments? Seeing none. We need a motion to go into closed session to discuss confidential attorney-client privilege memos from independent counsel.
Motion made by Farrington.
Support Song.
Motion by Farrington, supported by Song. Any discussion on the motion? Please vote.
Motion passes 9-0.
Motion to concur with item A of the attorney's recommendation.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kleinfeld, supported by Commissioner Romano. Any discussion on the motion?
Hold on, I did make that support.
That was Commissioner Farrington. Thank you.
What was item A? I'm sorry, what was item A? Simple question, that correspondence? Veronica's going to whisper in my ear, and we're going to go along. Thank you. I have it. Go ahead.
So we have a motion support. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 12-1. Commissioner Romano voting no.
Thank you. Do I have a second motion?
I'd like to make a motion on the second recommendation of board attorney.
Matuzik supports.
I have a motion by Commissioner Farrington, supported by Commissioner Matuzak. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Pete, all I can say is thank you. Very long session for all of us. Your answers are getting shorter and shorter, which I greatly appreciate. And go take care of your whatever you have to do right now, and God bless. With that,
Motion to adjourn.
Support Sitter.
we have a motion by Commissioner Romano, of course, and supported by Commissioner Zinner. Any discussion? Please vote.